from Herbert Spencer, the English author, educator, and philosopher. And Spencer said, "The great aim of education is not knowledge but action." And I smugly sat back and waited for him to be astounded by my erudition and wisdom. And he said, "That's not true." I said, "Oh, what do you mean, Jim?" He said, "I go to a state park or a national park and I read the plaque there telling me what's going on there. I don't intend to take any action, I just read it." And I think my comeback was something like, "Oh yeah, so's your mother." Hi again, I'm Byron Thompson, author of Sea Change, Realizing Your Dreams in Retirement, and also subscribe to this ongoing series of videos which are geared to assisting you doing the kinds of things that are important to you. Build Your Dream, 12 Essential Tools for Achieving Happiness in Life or Success in Life. And I've been a student of self-improvement all my life. I had an interesting experience as a 22-year-old young man working in my father's business back in Ohio, when I realized that that business, home improvement, was not my passion, wasn't my interest. In fact, I had no talent for it. Instead, my mother, who's enrolled all of the key people in the company, including my sister and myself, in a Dale Carnegie course in Human Relations and Effective Speaking, to receive a copy of my booklet, 5 Keys to Finding Happiness in Retirement. Click on the link below. It was a life-changing experience for me, and it set me on the path to get me to the point where I am here today, dedicated to assisting you in achieving fulfillment, satisfaction, and happiness in these bonus years. That is, the additional 25 to 30 years beyond typical retirement age of 65 that we've all been granted. This is according to the research being done at Stanford University on the Center on Longevity. And they're the ones that are telling us, based on their research, that we've got this additional time. Now, I have mentioned this previously, that is a long time to play golf or go fishing or play pickleball. But what you and I need to do is answer the critical question, what am I going to do with these bonus years, this extra time, to make my life interesting, productive, and happy? Well, this series of videos is geared to answering that for you, because it relates to our being able to set meaningful goals for ourselves as we move forward, so that we can consider our lives at any given point as being a life well lived. Now, the subject of goals is something that's been of interest to me my entire life. I was having a conversation with a former neighbor of mine, a PhD college professor, and I wanted to impress him, I guess, so I pulled out a quotation from Herbert Spencer, the English author, educator, and philosopher. And Spencer said, "The great aim of education is not knowledge but action." And I smugly sat back and waited for him to be astounded by my erudition and wisdom. And he said, "That's not true." I said, "Oh, what do you mean, Jim?" He said, "I go to a state park or a national park and I read the plaque there telling me what's going on there. I don't intend to take any action, I just read it." And I think my comeback was something like, "Oh yeah, so's your mother." Well, I didn't have a comeback for him, and I thought about it, and if I ever run into him again and can smoothly segue into that same conversation, I'm going to say to him, what Spencer said was the great aim of education, not knowledge but action. He didn't say that was the sole aim of education, because there's nothing wrong with reading plaques at a state park or reading People magazine for that matter, or any lighter kind of thing that we might be doing for amusement. But what we really want to do, you and I, is be sure that we have meaningful, significant goals as we move forward. A man was sitting by the side of the road when a stranger stopped him and said, "How do I get to Mount Olympus?" And he said, "Just make sure every step you take is taking you in that direction." And that has to do with our goals. What is it that is most important to us at this point in our lives? That's the direction we want to be going. That's the one step we want to be taking each day as we're moving forward. Now, your interest could be, and probably is, very different than mine. But you have a passion, you have an interest, you have something that you will consider, having completed, will enable you to say, my life is being well lived. I had an interesting experience at dinner a few nights ago. I was sitting with a neighbor, a lovely, charming, 71-year-old woman who is a painter, and she also hosts a weekly bridge game at her house. And she's vivacious, she's full of life, she's enthusiastic. And I couldn't help but admire her and see the glow in her eyes and her face as she was talking. But it hasn't always been this way for Joan. 4 years ago, she lost her husband of 35 years. And she went into, as you can imagine, a deep funk, depression. But the thing that impressed me so much about Joan is as she dealt, after dealing successfully with her grief, she got the show back on the road. She took a look at her life, she took a look at what she liked to do, and that's when she became interested in painting. It was the first time she ever took it up. So she took lessons and she started painting, and now she's painting some beautiful things. The point of this is you and I can find our passion, we can tap into it, and as a result, enrich our lives and be able to characterize our life well lived.